The unseen guest. The phone vibrated against the wooden nightstand, a low buzz that sliced through the silence of the pre-dawn hour. I blinked at the ceiling, the faint glow of streetlights seeping through the blinds, painting stripes across the plaster. My heart lurched as the screen lit up, displaying an unknown number. Who calls at 4:37 a.m.? I reached for it, my fingers trembling, and answered. A woman's voice, crisp and professional, cut through the static. Ms. Elena Carver. This is Marianne, your brother's wedding planner. I'm sorry to call so early, but your family has requested we remove you from the guest list. The words landed like a fist to my chest, stealing my breath. I sat up, the sheets pooling around my waist, my mind scrambling to process the absurdity. There must be a mistake, I stammered, my voice hoarse. I'm the maid of honor. Marianne's pause was heavy, deliberate. I'm just following instructions, Ms. Carver. They were quite clear. I'm sorry. The line went dead. I stared at the phone, its screen fading to black, mirroring the hollow ache spreading through me. My brother, David, was getting married in 2 weeks. I'd spent months helping him plan, choosing flowers, tasting cakes, laughing over his nervous rants about vows. Why would he, or anyone, want me erased from his day? The room felt colder, the air thick with something I couldn't name. Betrayal, maybe. But from whom? I padded barefoot across the hardwood floor to the kitchen, the tiles icy against my soles. The apartment was too quiet, the kind of quiet that amplifies every thought. My husband, Nathan, was away on a work trip, some tech conference in Seattle. He'd been distant lately, his texts curt, his calls brief. I'd chalked it up to stress, but now, with Marianne's words echoing, doubt crept in like damp rot. I poured coffee, the machine hissing as it brewed, and tried to piece together the fracture in my world. David wouldn't cut me out without reason. He was my anchor, the one who'd held my hand through our parents' divorce, the one who'd promised we'd always have each other. Something was wrong. The next morning, I drove to David's apartment, the city blurring past in a haze of grey drizzle. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as I replayed every recent conversation with him. There was that odd moment last week. His fiancée, Claire, had flinched when I hugged her at the rehearsal dinner, her smile tight, her eyes darting to David. I'd dismissed it as wedding jitters. Now, it felt like a warning. I pulled into their complex, the wipers squeaking against the windshield, and parked. My phone buzzed again. A text from Nathan. Running late. Might stay an extra day. Call you later. No love you, no warmth. My stomach twisted. David opened the door, his face pale, his hair disheveled. Elena, what are you doing here? His voice was sharp, not welcoming. I pushed past him, the air inside heavy with the scent of burnt toast and something sour, like unwashed laundry. Claire sat on the couch, her legs crossed, a mug cradled in her hands. She didn't look up. Why am I off the guest list? I demanded, my voice louder than I intended. David's eyes flicked to Claire, then back to me. It's complicated, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. We just thought it'd be better this way. Better? I laughed, a brittle sound. I'm your sister, David. What's going on? Claire's mug clinked as she set it down, her movements slow, deliberate. Elena, she said softly, we didn't want to hurt you. Her tone was too gentle, like she was soothing a wounded animal. My pulse quickened. Someone better start talking, I said, my voice trembling now. David sighed, his shoulders slumping. It's about Nathan, he said finally. The room tilted. What about Nathan? I asked, though part of me didn't want the answer. Claire stood, her eyes glistening with something like pity. We saw him, she said. At the hotel last month. With someone else. The words didn't register at first, like a language I couldn't parse. Someone else. I echoed, my voice small. David nodded, his jaw tight. A woman. They were close. Too close. We didn't know how to tell you. My knees buckled, and I sank into a chair, the fabric rough against my palms. Images flashed, Nathan's late nights, his sudden trips, The way he'd stopped touching me, his hand no longer seeking mine in the dark. I'd rationalized it all, blamed his job, our busy lives. But this was a blade, sharp and precise, carving through my trust. Who was she? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Claire hesitated, glancing at David. We don't know her name, she said. But they were at the bar, laughing, his arm around her. It wasn't innocent. I wanted to scream, to demand proof, but the weight in their eyes told me they weren't lying. Still, I clung to denial, a flimsy shield. You could have misread it, I said. Maybe she was a colleague. Elena, David said, his voice breaking, I saw them kiss. The room spun, the walls closing in. I pressed my hands to my face, the skin clammy, my breath shallow. Anger surged, hot and jagged, but beneath it, a deeper pain throbbed, heartbreak, raw and unrelenting. I loved Nathan. Loved him through his flaws, his silences, his ambition. How could he do this? I drove home in a daze, the rain heavier now, blurring the world outside. My phone stayed silent. No calls, no texts. At home, I rifled through Nathan's desk, desperate for answers. A receipt from a restaurant I didn't recognize, dated last month. A hotel keycard, tucked in a drawer. Each discovery was a pinprick, building to a wound I couldn't ignore. I called him, my hands shaking. Hey, he answered, his voice casual, distant. What's up? Where are you? I asked, my tone flat. A pause, too long. Still in Seattle. Why? I swallowed the lump in my throat. Who's with you? Another pause. Just colleagues, he said, but there was a hitch in his voice, a crack in the facade. I hung up, unable to bear more lies. That night, I lay awake, the bed vast and empty. Memories of Nathan flooded me, our first date, his shy smile, the way he'd proposed under a starlit sky. Had it all been a lie? Doubt gnawed at me, but so did guilt. What if I'd been too distant, too consumed by work? Had I pushed him away? The questions looped, endless, suffocating. The next day, I confronted him when he returned. He stood in the doorway, suitcase in hand, his face unreadable. Tell me the truth, I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. Are you cheating? His eyes widened, then softened, a flicker of guilt. Elena, he started, but I cut him off. Don't lie. David saw you. His shoulders sagged, and he sank onto the couch, head in his hands. It was a mistake, he whispered. A moment. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything. I shouted, tears spilling. You broke us, Nathan. He looked up, his eyes red, but I saw no remorse, only fear of being caught. The man I loved was a stranger. I walked out, the door slamming behind me, the sound echoing like a gunshot. Days later, at David's wedding, I stood in the back, uninvited but unable to stay away. The vows were beautiful, but they stung, each word a reminder of my own shattered promises. As Claire tossed her bouquet, it arced toward me, landing at my feet. I picked it up, the petals soft and fragrant, and realized the twist. Nathan wasn't the only betrayer. I'd betrayed myself, ignoring the signs, clinging to a love that had already died.